Welcome to the Wargaming Garage as we return to Marnie's Haven for this 2000-ish point narrative battle between Genestealer Cult and Space Marines. So with part 3, we return to Marnie's Haven and the main city of Atticus, where after the events of parts 1 and 2 of the Uprising, the Space Marines have pieced together the puzzle of what the Genestealer Cults are trying to do. For this mission, we'll be using one of the Crusade missions out of the 10th edition Tyrannic War book that's just come out. Which will be called Screaming in the Void, something along those lines, where the defenders are trying to defend 3 objectives and the attackers are trying to reach those objectives and send a signal. Quite fitting, the Genestealer Cult wanting to send the signal out to bring on the 4-armed Emperor. So with that, we're going to have a look at the armies. So here we have just over 2,000 points of Genestealer Cult being led today by the Patriarch. He's descended from the shadows and has come to lead the way to send the signal to the High Fleet. Backing him up today is a Magus and a Primus. There is an Acolyte Icon Ward there, in amongst a squad of 3 squads of Acolyte hybrids. There is an Abominant leading a squad of Aberrants. Then we have an Achilles Ridge Runner. We have 2 squads of Jackals with the Alphas. We then have 3 squads of Neophytes, and we have 2 of the Rock Grinders, as well as the Baneblade, which has been nicely acquired and repainted in the appropriate colours. We'll go through the enhancements as they come up in the game, but that is basically 2,000-ish points of Genestealer Cult. And here is just over 2,000 points of Space Marines. Recovering from his injuries in part 1, Creed returns with his squad of Hellblasters to lead the way, along with the Librarian attached to a squad of Assault Intercessors, a Lieutenant attached to a squad of Vanguard Veterans, and a separate squad of Vanguard Veterans. Now I know this is a completely not legal loadout, but you know, look, it's a narrative game, it's my house, I don't care. And just, I mean, look at him, he looks cool. Well, I think he does. There's a Chaplain leading another squad of Assault Intercessors. We have a squad of Assault Centurions riding in their ride, the Land Raider. We have a squad of 6 Eradicators, a squad of 3 Aggressors. We have 2 Devastator squads, a squad of Inceptors. Then we have a Repulsor and an Impulsor to carry people around. And again, some of the enhancements we'll go over during the game, but there is just over 2,000 points of Space Marines. So we'll head on to deployment. So the game we're playing, the mission we're playing is Screaming into the Void, and this is from the Tyrannic War Crusade book for 10th edition. I love these kind of Crusade missions. There's something different. Yeah, they get away from match play, and they just give you a different challenge, I think, personally. So this is the mission we're playing today. So essentially, we've got this slightly janky deployment zones with the objective markers across here. The Space Marines will be defending here, and the attackers, the Genestealer Cult, will start here. The Space Marines, the Ghosts, have figured out that they need the Genestealer Cult need to boost their signal to the Hive Fleet. So they're using one of we'll need to get to one of 3 nodes here and boost that signal out to the fleet. So the Space Marines will be defending these nodes. Whilst attackers come and try and shut them down. Try and send the signal. So that's the game we're playing. So I'll head on to deployment. So after deployment, the Genestealer Cult have set up with the 2 squads of Jackals and the Alphas on their left-hand flank, with a squad of Neophytes, and then the 2 Rock Grinders, and the buggy down this, also on the left-hand flank. On the right, it's just the Baneblade, just the Baneblade on its own. In Deep Strike are the Aberrants, the Patriarch itself, and the 3 squads of Acolyte hybrids. For the Ghosts, in Deep Strike are the Inceptors and the 2 squads of Vanguard Vets with the Lieutenant, but set up with the Devastator squads. One's up high with a bit of range, one's down low with the Melters with no range. Poor Melters. And then the Land Raider with the Centurions in it is over on the Ghosts' left-hand flank. Holding up the middle is the Repulsor with Creed and the Hellblasters in it. The Eradicators have come outside. The squad of Assault Intercessors have come outside, and then the other squad of Intercessors with the Librarian are in the Impulsor. So that's set up. The attackers have first turn, but with the Primus, what tricks can the Genestealer Cult do before we even roll the dice? So with the Primus being part of the Genestealer Cult army, he allows you to pick up to 3 Genestealer Cult units and put them into strategic reserves, in addition to any that you've already got in strategic reserves. So he's picked up a squad of Jackals with the Alphas and the squad of Neophytes, and well, we'll see them again sometime soon. And with that, we'll go on to Genestealer Cult turn 1. So at the end of the Genestealer Cult's movement phase, the Baneblade moved up. I think it can get sight on both the Devastator squad and maybe one of the squads at the back there. The Goliaths have both come up, as has the Ridge Runner, and the Jackals have just come round the side. Essentially looking to take aim on this squad of Devastators up in the ruins as well. So movement's complete for the Genestealer Cult. So with that, we'll head on to the shooting phase. So we'll start with this rearmost Goliath truck, the Rock Grinder, and we'll start with the tracer fire from the Heavy Stubber going into that Devastator squad up there. So the Heavy Stubber is 3 shots, hitting on 4s. So 2 hits. Strength 4, toughness 4, so 4's to wound, and no wounds. Okay, so we'll go on to the Heavy Mining Laser, which is D3 shots for 3. Hitting on 4s, just 1 hit. Wounding on 2s, it's strength 12, so definitely wounds. A bit of cover there. So it's a bit of cover there. So -3 becomes -2. They survive. So we'll rinse and repeat with the nearest one as well. So Heavy Stubber will miss. How many shots with a Mining Laser? 3 again. So 1 hit. It doesn't wound. Okay. So a bit of a wash from these 2 trucks. Can the Ridge Runner make a difference? So the Ridge Runner starts off with this trace of fire from the heavy stubbers and gets 1 hit, which wounds, and the Marines make a save. How many shots from the mining laser? 2 this time. Both hit, both wound. Yeah, -3 becomes -2. Both saved. So on the Genestealer Cult's left-hand flank, the only thing that's left to fire is the Jackal squad. The only thing that's in range will be the Marnie laser from the Wolf quad. So 1 shot this time, which misses. Okay, so after all of the shots ricocheted off of the building that's in front of the Devastator squad, that well-blessed Devastator squad, we'll move around and see what the Baneblade can make mincemeat out of. So this actual tank has got an absolute plethora of things on it. So what we're going to do is we are going to put the heavy bolters and the heavy stubber into the assault intercessor squad that's just here, and then everything else is going to go into the eradicators. So let's see how we get on. So trace of fire from the heavy stubbers, which hits once and does wound. No AP on this, but it wounds one of the intercessors. So now twin heavy bolters. There's actually 3 of those. Hitting on 4s. It's not a bad spread. Strength 5, toughness 4, so 3s to wound. That is also not a bad spread at -1. There is cover though, back to 3 up save. That is 6. So 6 3 up saves, 2 damage each. So that kills the other Marine and kills another. So 2 gone from the Assault Intercessor squad. I think I'll take that for now. I forgot that the heavy bolts are twin linked, but I need to remember these things, and we'll come back to it next time. So there's 2 las cannons on this hitting the eradicators. So hitting on 4s, both hit. Strength 12, toughness less than that by a long way, so 2s to wound, and both wound, and we'll get cover, but it is a -3, so it becomes 5 up saves. And make 1 and fail 1, it is D6 +1, so a 2 up will kill an eradicator, and he is las cannoned through the face. Okay. The coaxial cannon, 2 attacks, hitting on 4s. Wow, what has happened to that dice? That's like one weird dice. I'll re-roll that. Okay, so 2 hits, strength 9, so 3s to wound. 1 wound goes through, -1 becomes -0, and he's fine. Right, with Demolisher Cannon out of range, we're going to go to the Baneblade. That's 3d6 shots. So 10 shots hitting on 4s. Strength 12, wounding on 2s. So 5 at 2 up, that becomes -1. And 3 get smushed by the Baneblade cannon. So that's 4 gone out of the squad straight away. So with that, that marks the end of the Genestealer Cult's first turn. Good shooting on the eradicators. This Devastator squad is blessed, I think. the power of the Emperor flows through them, because yeah, they did well. The Eradicators didn't fare so well, and we'll need to take a battle shock test, so they can't hold any of the objectives if they fail it. But with that, we'll move on to the Ghosts turn 1. So at the end of the Ghost movement phase, because we use Firestorm and everything has the assault keyword as well, I've advanced the Devastator squad. I advanced the Land Raider round. The Eradicators made a scramble for cover. Let's just see if they did pass anything. No, they don't. And then the Assault Intercessors that were left have just moved their way inside the building. This Devastator squad has stayed still to get the benefit of the heavy keyword. And then the 2 transports made a mad dash for it round to get themselves line of sight onto a few juicy targets. So with that, we've declared the Baneblade naturally the Oath of Moment target. So let's see what we can do to it, if anything at all. And we'll start off with this Melter squad and the 1 heavy bolter inside this building. So starting with the heavy bolter with some trace of fire. Ooh, 2 sustained. And another hit after Oath of Moment. Strength 5, toughness 13, so 6s. 1 wound comes through, but it's absolutely fine. Okay. So with that, 6 melter shots come through. Okay. 5s to wound. So just 2 wounds come through. Oh. Okay. So 2d6 damage for 7 damage on the Baneblade. So it still has quite a lot remaining. 17 to be precise. So next up, the Land Raider takes shots at the Baneblade. So we'll start off again with the heavy bolter. Get 1 sustained so far. Oath of Moment target, so all 3 hit. 6s to wound. Another wound comes through. So -1 because a 3 up save, which it makes. And then 2 Godhammer las cannons. It is attached to, I'm assuming because there is 1 on either side, it is 4 shots, but correct me in the comments if I am incorrect. So 2 hits so far. Re-rolling for Oath of Moment. Still 2 hits so far. Oh dear. Strength 12, toughness 13, so 5s to wound. No wounds come through. Yes, I will. No. No point doing that. Okay. So that's everything down this right, the Ghost's left-hand flank. So let's move over to this side, where Devastator squad is going to see if it can pop one of these trucks, and the Impulsor is going to try and whittle down the Jackals. But we'll start with splitting fire from the Devastator squad. So the las cannon and plasmas will go into this first truck here. The heavy bolter will go into the Jackals. So starting with the heavy bolter into the Jackals, we've stayed still, so hitting on 2s. And all 3 hit. We're wounding on 3s. So it's 2 wounds, -1. And that kills 2 of the Jackals. So the 2 heavy plasma cannons going into that first Goliath rock grinder. So 2d3 shots. Ooh, Okay. We are supercharging because why not? So hitting on 3s because we stood still. Oof. So strength 8 and then so supercharged against toughness 10, so still 5s to wound. Oof, just the 1 wound. Okay. So it has a 3 up save, so a 6 up, down to a 5 up because of cover, and it's fine. After all that, it is fine. But are my Space Marines fine? Yes, they are. They know just how to feather that trigger. Now the last cannon stays still, so hitting on 3s, misses. Okay. So with that, the Impulsor will unleash everything into the remaining Jackals. So we did the Storm Bolters off camera, but actually managed to get 4 wounds through, 2 of which the Jackal saved, so it killed 1 or more unit. And now we're on to the Iron Hail Heavy Stubber. We are in rapid fire range, so lots of shots. Hitting on 3s. Not bad. Strength 4 versus toughness 4, so 4 to wound. So just 2 wounds come through. No app on this one either. Makes 1, fails 1, so puts a Jackal down to a wound. So with that we'll move on to the Repulsor, which I think will be putting everything into this lead rock grinder here, because that's pretty much all it can see. So doing the defensive array off camera, we got 2 wounds through, but they were both saved by the rock grinder. So now we go on to the heavy onslaught Gatling cannon, hitting on 3s. Okay, could do with some of those 6s again for the wound roll, because it is strength 6, toughness 10, so 5s to wound, and we get 2 wounds, 3 wounds through, and no app. And it's fine. It's fine. So now we go on to the last part of the shooting, which is the twin last cannon. So hitting on 3s, which it hits. Strength 12, toughness 10, so wounding on 3s. It wounds. It is -3. There is no cover on this one because it is literally right in front of him. So 6 ups, which it badly fails. So that is D6 plus 1 damage for that rock grinder. For 6 wounds, so that's 4 remaining. So that marks the end of the Ghost's turn 1, and at the end of that turn, the Jackals will move themselves back into strategic reserves, ready to be a nuisance at some point later on. But with that, we'll move on to the Genestealer Cult turn 2. Let's see if anything comes up from below. So at the end of the movement phase for the Genestealer Cult, the Baneblade's brought itself up. The Ridge Runner and the Rock Grinders have both moved up. Both of these two have retained the crew inside. And a squad of Acolytes, a second squad of Acolytes, and the depleted unit of Jackals have returned to the board. It does still leave another squad of Acolytes, the Aberrants, another squad of Jackals. There's quite a lot in reserve still for the Genestealer Cult. So, but the decision was made to keep those squads inside the Rock Grinders and force the Space Marines to get through the armour first. Otherwise it was sort of soft targets, so to speak. So that being said, we'll move on to the shooting phase. So we're going to start with the Baneblade. We're splitting fire. There's a squad of Devastators in here with melters that it doesn't like the look of. So then the heavy stuff will go into the Land Raider, because there's the Centurions inside there. With some Tracer Heavy Stubber into the Devastator Marines. So she's in rapid fire range, so hitting on 4s, 6 shots hitting on 4s. Strength 4, toughness 4, so 4s to wound. So it's 3 wounds, no AP. They are in cover, but they can't get below a 3+ save for the Space Marines. And 1 takes a wound. So we'll leave that one just there. Heavy bolters. So sustained, hits, and twin linked. So no sustained. Phew, really? So just the 2 hits. So strength 5. So 2 wounds. -1, but they're in cover, so back to 3 ups. And they're fine. So a bit of a wash there. So everything else will go into the Land Raider. So we'll start with the Demolisher Cannon, which is D6 + 3 for 4. Okay. So that's 7 shots. Hitting on 4s. Oh, that's not bad. That isn't bad. 14, toughness 12, 3s to wound. Nice, 3 wounds, so 5 up saves. Oh, it makes 2 of them. So it's D6 damage for 2. Okay, we'll keep that marked. Now the coaxial cannon. Oh, I was going to do that into Devastators. So 1 hit. Doesn't wound. Never mind. Okay. So now the las cannons. Both miss. How can you miss? It's like directly in front of you. And then the Baneblade cannon. Ooh. 15 shots hitting on 4s. That is strength 12, toughness 12, so 4s to wound. That also is not bad. So that is 6 wounds at -2, so 6 4-up saves. And that is not bad from the Land Raider either. It's proving tough armour, but that takes another 3 wounds. The Catalan Jackals that are left here are going to go again into the Devastator squad that are in the building. So start with the Heavy Stubber. That is not bad shooting. Seems to get the shooting okay. Strength 4, toughness 4, so 4s to wound. So 3 wounds, no AP. And the Space Marines are fine. And so the heavy mining laser, just 1 shot, hitting on 4s. It misses. Of course it does. So that's this flank shot. Then we're going to head around that side and see if we can use the mining lasers to crack the impulsor open and try and get to what's inside. Okay, so we'll start with this rearmost Achilles Ridge Runner and start going into the impulsor. So tracer shots from the Heavy Stubber, hitting on 4s. Again, good shooting. Shem 6s don't mean anything at all. 6s to wound. Nothing, but it is twin linked. Still nothing. Okay. So D3 shots for the mining laser for the big 3. Again, hitting on 4s. So 1 hit. Wounding on 3s, it wounds. -3, so 6-up save. Nope. That is D6 + 1 for 3 wounds. 3 wounds onto the impulsor. Why? Okay, so we'll rinse and repeat with the uninjured Goliath. We're going to blink some wounds off with the Tracer Heavy Stubbers. Okay. We do get a wound, but it's fine. And then the heavy mining laser for D3 shots. Again for the 3. I got 2 hits this time. 2 wounds. It makes one, fails one, makes a save and fails to save again. D6 plus 1 this time. Oh, that's a whopping 5. So whilst we're here, let's just rinse and repeat with the third one. Let's see if we can actually get anywhere with this impulsor. So, statistically average hits, no wounds. Okay, number of shots. This time just the one for the mining laser, which misses. Fantastic. There's nothing else to shoot, so I'm going to CP that. It hits. It definitely wounds. It fails. Come on, come on. Let's go big. Oh. So it's taken 9 wounds, but it is still operational. So what we're going to do is we're going to try and charge the repulsor just to be annoying. We are going to charge this rock grinder into the impulsor, see if we can get rid of these 2 wounds. It does do a mortal wound on a 4-up on the charge. Let's see what we can do, see if we can actually get through there. And then around this side, we're going to charge the acolytes into the Devastator squad. We've got a bit of a long bomb charge bringing the jackals round, but we're going to try that as well. Acolytes into the repulsor. No. The acolytes into the Devastator squad. Oh, so close. I've got a CP left. Yeah, probably been too long now. No, they get it in with a 9. And then the jackals with a 9, I'll measure it, but going around the building might be too long. So the rock grinder, as it goes in, end of the charge phase, on a 4-up, the enemy unit suffers a mortal wound, and it does. So that impulsor has 1 wound left, so we may as well go straight on to that. So it gets 6 attacks with its drill dozer blade, hitting on 3s with sustained hits. Ooh, that's nice. So strength 10 versus toughness 9, so 3s to wound. That's less nice, but still. I think this should probably do it. So 3 wounds at -2, so 3 5-up saves. And failing 2 of them, not even with the CP reroll, does it explode. It does. It does. Excellent. So doing D3 mortal wounds to the rock grinder for 1, I'll take that. D3 mortal wounds to the Devastator squad up in the building. Kills 1 and wounds another. And then the same to the repulsor. Oh, does 3 wounds on that as well. So there's the assault intercessors and the librarian are inside. So how many take a mortal wound? 1 takes 1 mortal wound, slightly injured as he leaps out. Around to the acolyte hybrids, we're going to start attacking and see if we can get rid of this Devastator squad, which will really force the Space Marines to hit hard down this flank. So acolyte hybrids, there's 3 of them with claws and knife, so 3 attacks each, hitting on 3s. 4s to wound, and because they're in range of an objective marker, we can re-roll those ones to wound. Okay, so 4 wounds come through, -1, 1 damage, so 4-up saves. So it kills the injured Space Marine and puts a wound on another. And now the heavy mining tools. So 2 attacks each with the mining tools, hitting on 3s. And re-rolling 1s. Strength 10, so 2s to wound. So 4 wounds come through. -2, 3 damage each. Oof, so kills the injured one and kills 2 more. So that leaves just the sergeant remaining. So the sergeant raises his power sword and hits on 3s. He hits twice. Strength 5, toughness 4, so 3s to wound. Only wounds once, but it is -2. So he goes straight through and kills an acolyte. So that marks the end of the Genestealer Cult turn, and pretty successful in terms of getting their ability onto one of the nodes. And so if they manage to clear that sergeant, then in subsequent turns they'll be eligible to start attempting to send the signal. But for now, they've done just enough to hold them up. But the ghosts will definitely have to send forces in to support and try and clear that node. But with that, having lost the impulsor, we'll see what the ghosts can do in their turn 2. So at the end of the ghost movement phase, the Inceptors have come down with their heroic descent just outside 3 inches of both these units. The sergeants fell back, allowing the Centurions to, because they can't take aim at the Baneblade because it's too far away, but they can try and whittle down this squad of acolytes. This squad of assault intercessors, in case that doesn't go to plan, have come round for a charge. The assault Centurions can also charge the Land Raider, but stayed still to take aim at the Baneblade. Round here, the repulsor has spat out everything that was inside, which was the aggressors and Creed's squad of Hellblasters. And then just shuffled back slightly to take aim at these acolytes, whilst everything else is going to attempt to clear this roadblock of these rock grinders as we go on to the ghost shooting phase. The Oath of Moment target, naturally, is going to be the Baneblade. So we'll start off the Ghost of the Force shooting phase with the Hellblasters putting everything into the rock grinder. That is rapid fire range. We've got 10 shots, hitting on 3s. Strength 8, because we're overcharging, supercharging, versus toughness 10, so still 5s to wound. Nothing. Absolute wash. Hazardous check at the end, and 1 explodes. So after that complete washout, we'll fire the Devastator squad into the same rock grinder. So we'll start with the 2 plasma cannons. Again, both going to go supercharge, both but no, 2 D3 shots. Okay, so that's 4 shots. They stood still, so it's gone from 4s down to 3s. Okay. 5s to wound. Still nothing. Do they die? 1 does. Excellent. Okay, the last cannon. Again, remain stationary, so hitting on 3s. And I'm going to use the Signum to turn that into a 6, because I can. Strength 12 versus toughness 10, so 3s to wound. And it wounds. -3, so 6 up save required for the Goliath truck. And it fails it. And so it's D6 plus 1 damage. So we're looking for a 3. And it goes through, does 6 wounds on a 4 wound model that's remaining, but the Goliath, the rock grinder, does not explode. Okay. So rolling off camera for the number of shots for the aggressors. The aggressors are going to go into the squad of neophytes that just scrambled out of the rock grinder. We will need to just do their mortal wound test. What have we got there? We have 3, 6, 9, 10, plus some Magos. And they all survive. They all scramble out the rock grinder from the frying pan into the fire, as we have 14 shots after the D6 plus 1. So we'll gather some dice together and roll up for the aggressors. So 14, strength 4 versus toughness 3, twin linked flamer shots hitting that squad of neophytes. And then I need to re-roll 1. So all 14 hit and wound. Now, as they're the nearest unit to the aggressors, they get a +1 to their AP, so it's -1. So here we go. Oof. And so the last 4 wounds that come in, so it's killed 7 so far. Last 4 come in. We do 1 at a time just in case it starts heading on to the Magus. So it kills the, number 8, number 9, number 10, and the Magos takes a wound. Okay, so that wipes the squad of neophyte hybrids. Will they, however, come back? It is battle round 2, so will they come back? No, they don't. So we're working our way around to this squad of assault intercessors. We are going to start off with the librarian, putting focus witchfire into the rock grinder. So he's going to go for the focus witchfire, so it's D6 shots for the full 6. So hitting on 3s. Okay. Wounding on 5s, but anything that is 6 is devastating wounds. Nothing comes through. Does he blow his own head off? No, he's fine. And so the bolt pistols are going to go into the Magus. 'Will hit. 3 wounds. 3 5-up saves. She's got 1 wound remaining. So the repulsor is going to split fire. It's going to put the las cannons and the heavy onslaught Gatling cannon into the rock grinder. The Gatling cannon, because it's hoping it can get some devastating wounds. The defensive array, in the meantime, is going to go into the acolyte hybrids. So starting off with the heavy onslaught Gatling cannon, hitting on 3s. Strength 6, toughness 10, so 5s to wound, but 6s are devastating. Oh, there's a couple of devastating wounds, so it plinks a couple off and gives it 3 wounds to save. So no AP, but it takes a further. So it's got 4 wounds taken off. It's got 6 remaining. Just pop that there. So now the las cannon hits. Strength 12 versus toughness 10, so 3s to wound. I'm going to use a CP. It wounds, so -3. It fails, it's D6 plus 1, so 5 will do it. Oh, for 2 wounds, so it's got 4 wounds remaining. Soften up for a charge, I think. So rolling off camera, because there's lots of dice, there was 7 wounds came through on the acolyte hybrids from the defensive array, so this is 7 5 up saves. And we lose 1, 2, 3, 4 from that squad. So working our way around to the Inceptor squad, everything's going to go into the Jackals. Try and get rid of that squad as well. So hitting on 3s, sustain hits 2. Ooh. Strength 5 versus toughness 4, so 3s to wound. It's twin linked. Everything wounds. So that's 11 6 up saves, AP 1, damage 2. Not a single one. So that wipes the Jackal squad. Do they come back? No, they don't either. So working around to the Assault Centurions, everything's going to have to go into this squad of Acolyte hybrids. So they never really stood a chance, the Acolytes, against the Hurricane Bolters and the Melters. So the squad was wiped, but do they come back? And they do. Excellent. So the last couple of things left to shoot around here are going to be the Eradicators and the Land Raider. So we'll start with the Eradicators, and they are hitting, they're going against the Baneblade, and they're hitting on 3s. Excellent. So strength 9 versus toughness 13, so 5s to wound, but they do get to inherently re-roll. So 1 wound comes through, it is -4, so 6 up save. Oof. Okay, so D6 damage for full 6. God blimey, that left a mark, leaving the Baneblade with 11 wounds. And so with that, we'll move on to the Land Raider, and everything from the Land Raider going into the Baneblade. So it is the Oath of Moment target still. So there's 2 last cannons, and re-rolling because of Oath of Moment. So 2 hits. Strength 12, toughness 13, so 5s to wound though. 1 wound comes through. It is -3, so 5 up save, which it makes. Okay. Heavy bolters. 2 hits. No wounds. And that marks the end of the Ghost shooting phase. So with that, we'll move on to charges. There's only a couple to make. I think we're going to charge, maybe even just the 1 to make. No, we'll charge the Assault Intercessors into the Magus, and we'll charge the Aggressors into the Rock Grinder. Do we do a cheeky charge with a Repulsor and try and crush that last Acolyte? Why not? So a 5-inch charge for the Assault Intercessors, which they make. A 7-inch charge for the Aggressors, which they definitely make. And a 4-inch charge for the Repulsor, which it fails. Meant to be. Okay. We fought with a Magus off camera, and as would be expected, that they did not survive. So we'll move on to the Aggressors going into the Rock Grinder. So Power Fist hitting on 3s. So strength 8 versus toughness 10, so wounding on 5s but twin linked. Good job too. Okay, so that knocked that 6 into a 4. So just the 1 wound coming through, -2, 2 damage. It fails it, but it's got 2 wounds remaining. So the Rock Grinder does 6 attacks back, hitting on 3s. Sustained hits though. So they all hit. Strength 10 versus toughness 6, so 3s to wound. That is 5 wounds at -2. So 5 up saves. Oh dear. So that kills one, that kills two. So maybe it wasn't such a smart move by the aggressors. That's two gone. That marks the end of the turn for the ghosts. They have repelled somewhat the Genestealer Cults and Fantasies so far. But as we go into turn 3, there's a lot of stuff from reserve to come in for the Genestealers. So let's see how they react. We go to Genestealer Cult, turn 3. So at the end of the Genestealer Cult's movement phase, it took quite some time excuse me, to decide who was going where. So the Baneblades rolled up. Yes, it's potentially in charge range, but the plan is to not have those Assault Centurions there at the end of the turn. The Aberrants came up out of Deep Strike. The Neophytes disembarked from the Rock Grinder and made their way around here. Then around this side, oh, didn't move him. Let's move him forward. Boop. Around this side, the squad of Acolyte Hybrids came up, as did finally the Patriarch, to take line of sight through the window at Creed. The Atalan Jackals came back out of strategic reserve and hid behind the containers just in case the plan doesn't go according to plan and they can move up out in turn 4. The Ridge Runner came round to get a sight on the Eradicators into the building. And lastly, spending a CP for Tunnel Crawlers, the squad of Acolyte Hybrids came up, and this squad here, on this turn, will be trying to send the signal. So we're going to start with the Ridge Runner, who can thread the needle to the other Eradicators that are inside the building. And we'll start with the Heavy Stubber. It is within half range, so rapid fire 3, so hitting on 4s. So 3 hits, strength 4, toughness 5, I think. 5, anyway, it's 5 to wound, 5 or 6. But it's twin linked. So that's 2 wounds come through, no app, and the Eradicators are fine. So now the heavy mining laser for D3 shots for the full 3. Hit on 4s. Okay. Strength 12, so 2s to wound. Spent CP. No! So the seismic cannon coming in from the Neophyte. So we did the firearms off camera, nothing doing. So the seismic cannon, it's in rapid fire range, so hitting on 5s. 1 hit. Strength 6 versus toughness 6, so 4s to wound, and it wounds. So -1, but they are in cover, and so they're fine. So now the mining laser, so just 1 shot, hitting on 5s, misses. Okay, so nothing doing there. So now we'll move our way around to the Rock Grinder. So we're going to fire the blast weapons at the squad of Assault Intercessors and the Heavy Stubber into the aggressor. So we'll start with the Heavy Stubber. He is in rapid fire range, but -1 to hit because of it in combat, so hitting on 5s. I'm going to get 1 hit. It wounds, and the aggressor saves it. So now D6 plus 3 shots for the demolition charge cache into the Assault Intercessors for 6 shots. Hitting on 6s now. Nothing, absolutely nothing. And the heavy mining laser for 2 shots. Nothing. because of the -1 to hit. So that was well worth it. So with that, we'll then work round and see who the Patriarch wants to take on. Well, disappointingly, the Patriarch doesn't have anything psychic that I can do as a ranged weapon, so we'll save that. So we'll head round to the Baneblade. The Baneblade has got its work cut out, so let's see what it can do. Okay, so yeah, coaxial cannon, heavy bolters into the Inceptor squad, heavy stubber into the last remaining sergeant. Then the Baneblade cannon is going to go into the Assault Intercessor squad there. The Demolisher cannon is going to go into the Assault Centurions, and the last cannons are going to go into the Land Raider. Phew. Okay, so let's start with the heavy stubber. Rapid fire 3 going into that Devastator Sergeant. And that isn't bad. Strength 4, toughness 4, so force to wound. That is also not bad. You wish for those devastating wounds. Okay. So 3 up saves. And that sergeant has gone. So twin heavy bolters going into the Inceptor squad. Hitting on 4s but sustained hits. Strength 5, toughness 6, so 5's to wound but twin linked. And that's a good job. Okay, so 3 wounds come through. -1, but they get covered because they're behind the building. And they are fine. That doesn't bode well for those acolytes, has to be said. Okay, so now the coaxial cannon. 2 hits, 3's to wound, 2 wounds, -1 again back to 3 up save, and one of those Inceptors goes splat. Okay, so 3d6 shots from the Baneblade cannon into the Assault Intercessor squad. So hitting on 4s. Wounding on 2s. So that's 6 5 up saves to make. And we'll have to do them 3 at a time because they're 4 up in one on the chaplain. Okay, so that kills the 3 Assault Intercessors straight off. And then the chaplain. Oh man, what was there is now a smoking hole in the ground as the Assault Intercessor squad and the chaplain are just eradicated. So now the Demolisher cannon into the Assault Centurions, so that's d6 plus 3 for 7 shots. Hitting on 4s. Ooh, that is not so great. Oh. Okay, strength 14, so 2 wounds come through. It's a 5 up save for the Assault Centurions, and 1 makes it, 1 doesn't, so it's d6 damage for the Demolisher cannon. Only 2 wounds, only 2 come through, leaving an Assault Centurion on 2 wounds remaining. Oh dear. The last thing to fire is the 2 last cannons going into the Land Raider. So last cannons hitting on 4. 1 hits, 1 misses. Strength 12, toughness 12, so force to wound, doesn't wound. And so mixed bag with the Baneblade. Did manage to get rid of 2 of the threats to this Acolyte hybrid squad, but certainly didn't do anything too bad to the Inceptors, and those Assault Centurions, the gamble didn't quite pay off. So now we go into the charge phase. So the Acolyte hybrids the aberrants and the abhorrent will charge the assault centurions, and the neophytes, the brave neophytes, will actually charge the eradicators. Round this side, the patriarch has got his eyes set on Creed, and the bodyguard he's got to get through. So the patriarch will charge Creed's squad of hellblasters. The acolyte hybrids will just attempt a charge on the repulsor. So a 6-inch charge for the neophytes into the eradicators, which they make. A 9-inch charge for the aberrants into the assault centurions, which they fail. Oh dear. So a 9-inch charge. We're going to do the Baneblade. Why not? Let's go for it. The Baneblade gets in. Now the patriarch into Creed's squad. Fails. And the acolytes into. Let's get acolytes into Creed's squad. Let's change the tactic. And they fail as well. Okay, with no CP left to re-roll anything, we'll just move in the Baneblade and the neophytes. So the Baneblade gets 6 attacks on the charge. Hit on 4. Ooh, not bad. Strength 8, toughness 7, so 3s to wound. It wounds all the time. God, I wish it was devastating. So 5 wounds, no AP, and the assault centurions tank it. Can the brave neophytes do their job? So 10 attacks coming in, hitting on 4s. 6s to wound. Ooh, 2 wounds. And they're fine. So with that, we'll strike back with this aggressor here into the rock grinder. So 3 attacks, hitting on 3s. Wounding on 5s, but twin linked. And no wounds come through. Okay. So have the rock grinder fight back. Okay. No sustained hits, but still 5 out of 6 isn't bad. Wounding on 3s. That is 4 wounds come through at -2. And that is a dead aggressor. That's freed up the rock grinder. So the Baneblade is still the open moment target, so the assault centurions hitting on 3s. It gets sustained hits 2 when it's targeting a vehicle. So 4 extra hits so far, but it is twin linked. So open moment. So 6 extra hits. Truth, brutal. Strength 10 versus toughness 13, so 5's to wound, but it is twin linked. So that's 9 wounds come through, -2, 3 damage each, so 4s. Drop dice don't count. Oh, that is not bad. Well done. So it just takes 6 wounds. It's got 5 remaining. So at the end of the Genestealer Cult turn, the acolytes are attempting to send the signal. Will they survive this next turn? If there's any left at the end of the defender's turn, the ghost turn, the signal is considered sent, and that's the end of the game. So the Inceptors have got a job to do. The Assault Centurions are tied up. The Eradicators are tied up. We'll need to fight back with those. We'll do that off camera in a minute. Around here, what will the failed charges mean for the Patriarch as we go on to Ghosts, turn 3? At the end of the Space Marines movement phase, the squads of Vanguard vets are coming from Deep Strike. One squad to try and protect this home objective. Creed and his Hellblasters have moved round. The Assault Intercessors have gone off to seek tougher prey. The squad of Neophytes has come up from Deep Strike, as is their ability with that objective. The other squad of Vanguard vets has come in to pin some movement on the Aberrants, and there's been a slight shuffle with this squad of Inceptors just to get a line, just to get slightly closer, make sure those assault bolters actually do the business. So with that, we'll move on to the Ghost shooting phase. So we'll kickstart the shooting phase with the Inceptors, firing everything into the Acolyte squad. But the Acolyte squad are going to spend a CP on Into the Darkness to give them stealth, so they are -1 to hit. So hitting on 4s now, but sustained hits 2. Oh, that's not going well. Strength 5 versus toughness 4, so 3s to wound, but the twin linked. So 2 wounds come through at -1, and that kills 2 Acolytes. Moving on to the Land Raider, it's going to split fire. It's going to put the las cannons into the Oath of Moment target, which is the Bane Blade, and the heavy bolters into the Acolyte squad. So we'll start with the heavy bolters. And sustained hits, so it gets 2 more hits. Excellent. Strength 5, toughness 4, so 3s to wound. That's better, much better. Let's see if we can get rid of these remaining Acolytes. Yes, that squad is cleared and that signal node is secured. Moving on to the las cannons. Oath of Moment, both hit. 1 wound, which it fails to save, so d6 damage, just for 3. So now we come round to the Devastator squad, and we're going to put, everything into the Bane Blade. So start with the D3 from the plasma, supercharged of course, for 1 shot, hitting on 3s back to 4s because of combat, and it hits and doesn't wound. The las cannon hits and wounds on a 6, and the Bane Blade tanks it. Okay, so then we move round to the squad of Hellblasters. Everything's going to go into that last to the 2 wound Goliath. So there's 4 Hellblasters in rapid fire range, hitting on 3s. Come on, boys. Wounding on 5s. Oh no. Okay. And so the last bit of shooting is a split fire from the repulsor, which will do all the defensive range of this one lone dude. Then everything else will go into this squad of acolytes here. Okay, so we'll do this defensive array off camera and come back for the other weapons. As was probably predicted, that one lone acolyte didn't survive the defensive array. Then we go on to the onslaught Gatling cannon into the squad with the icon ward. So the onslaught cannon hitting on 3s. And wounding on 3s, devastating wounds though. Okay. So 2 devastating wounds and 2 saves to make. They are in cover, but there's no AP anyway. So 1 makes that. Okay, and then there is 3 feel no pains from the icon ward. But none of those happen. So there's 3 slain there, and then the last cannon hits, wounds, failed the save. What's the damage? For 3. And that's another one slain. But importantly, does that single acolyte bring the whole squad back? +1. Yes, battle line squad. Yes, it does. So the Eradicators fired their pistols into combat, doing nothing at all. So now the Assault Intercessors will have a pot shot. Actually, probably at the acolytes, at the aberrants. So 5 shots. Will hit. 5s to wound. 1 wound. Fails to save, but makes the feel no pain. Excellent. And now the Librarian spools up his psychic might and smites into the aberrants. So D6 shots for 4. Hitting on 3s. All hit. Strength 4, toughness, strength 6, toughness 6, I think, the aberrant. So 4s to wound, but are devastating wounds. So 1 devastating wound, but no other wounds. So D3 damage for 3. Will this kill an aberrant? 4 up, feel no pain. No, just brings 1 down to 1 wound remaining. And just whilst remember, does the other acolyte squad that the Land Raider killed, did they come back as well? Yes, they do. Okay. So with that, we move on to charges. We're going to charge the Hellblaster squad and Creed into the Patriarch. We're going to charge the Assault Intercessors into the aberrants and the Vanguard Vets into the aberrants. And then everyone else will hold firm. So we'll start with the Vanguard Vets. Start with Vanguard Vets. Who fail. Okay. Onto the Assault Intercessors, who make it in, and Creed squad, they fail, and I'll do a CP reroll for that one, and they're now in. Okay. So we'll start with the Assault Intercessors into the aberrants. That's 20 attacks, hitting on 3s, rerolling 1s. Here's the rerolls. So 14 attacks make it through, so now it's 5s to wound though. Oh dear. So 4 wounds make it through, that's a 5-up save with a feel no pain. So 3 make it through, and a 4-up feel no pain. So on the first one, that kills that first aberrant and brings 1 down to 2 wounds remaining. So as we swing round to the side here, Creed invokes his finest hour and gives himself 3 extra attacks with a devastating wounds ability. So he raises his power fist and strikes at the Patriarch, hitting on 2s. Ooh, not bad. Wounding on 3s, devastating wounds on top. So try as you might, the Patriarch has 2 saves to make. It's 4 invulnerable save, which he makes both of them, but with the devastating wounds coming through, that is 2, 4, 6, 8 wounds, and the Patriarch is torn limb from limb by Creed as he screams, "Marnie's haven will be mine." So coming back over here where the Aberrants, the Abominant, are taking on the Assault Intercessors, the Aberrants strike with their improvised weapons, hitting on 3s. With the sustained hits that came through from the Abominant, they all hit. So strength 6, toughness 4, so 3s to wound. Oh, that is not bad. That is very spicy. The Librarian doesn't have a 4-up feel no. It has a 4-up invulnerable save, and it gives a 4-up gives a 4-up invulnerable save to the squad. Doesn't have anything particularly special himself either, so it's all AP 0, but they're all 2 damage. So anything failed kills an intercessor. So see how many wounds come through. That is not good. So we have 1 dead intercessor, 2, 3, 4, that's the squad, that's the Librarian, and 2 more for good luck. Wow. So we'll move on to defenders fighting first on the Baneblade. You get 6 attacks, hitting on 4s. There's 2 hits, 3s to wound, 1 wound comes through, 2-up save for the Centurion. Okay, so Centurion's down to 1 wound remaining, and then the Centurions will strike back at the Baneblade. It's still their oath of moment target, so the siege drills hitting on 3s. Re-rolling. So all bar 1. So strength 10, toughness 13, so 5s to wound, but it is twin linked. And the re-rolls. So that's 5 4-up saves. So 5 4-up saves for the Baneblade to make. Oh, that would kill it. Let's be nice. See, I've got a CP re-roll. I must do. No. So, does the Baneblade blow up? Close, but not quite. And with that, the Baneblade is torn down, freeing up the Centurions and eliminating one huge threat from the Genestealer Cult. So at the end of the Ghosts turn 3, they've torn down the Patriarch. So the leader of the Uprising has been torn down, but they still have a lot of work cut out. The Genestealer Cult are coming out the walls. There's markers, the Auspex is going off all over the place. Here, down here, the squad's coming up through there. The Abominants and the Aberrants are really making a nuisance of themselves in the centre. So what will the Genestealer Cult do as they head into turn 4 to try and send the signal to the High Fleet? So here we are at the end of the Genestealer Cult movement phase. The Ridge Runners come round. The Aberrants and the Abominant have moved up. Looking to try and get a cheeky charge off either solely into the Eradicators, or if that Centurion survives the shooting phase, then into both units. Round here, the Icon Ward and the last acolyte did a passive battle shock test with flying colours. So they're on that objective there, and they are going to start to try and send a signal. And the Goliath rock grinders come up, and the jackals have come round with the alphas and taken a line of sight on the squad that's just torn down the Patriarch. And this squad of neophytes has moved and advanced for a whole 2 up the board. So with that, we'll head on to Genestealer Cult shooting phase. So we'll start off with a Ridge Runner with the heavy stubbers going into this squad and the mining laser going into the Centurions. So start off with the heavy stubbers, rapid fire, hitting the Vanguard vets. And it does hit 5 out of 6 times. Strength 4, toughness 4, so 4s to wound. Not so hot that time. And the Vanguard vet is fine. So how many shots for the mining laser into the Centurions? It is the full 3. So again, hitting on 4. Strength 12, so 3s to wound. Wounds, -3, so that's a 5-up save for the Centurion, which it fails. It's D6 + 1, so it kills that Centurion. So moving round to the rock grinder going into the Devastator squad at the top there. We'll start off, and he's then going to split fire and put his demolition cache into Creed's squad. So we'll start off with the demolition cache. So D6 + 3 shots. Ooh. Hitting on 5s though, so hasn't stopped them. Strength 12, toughness 4, so 2s to wound. So that's 5 wounds come through. So 5 wounds come through, -2, 2 damage. Okay, so kills 3 straight off. Another heavy stubbers into the Devastator squad, hitting on 4s. Respectable. Strength 4, toughness 4. So, so 4 wounds come through, no AP, and the Devastator squad is fine. So then the heavy mining laser for D3 shots for the full 3. Hitting on 4s, just a single hit. Wounding on 2s, wounds just -3. Yeah, and that kills one of the Devastator squad. So one of the last things to shoot will be this Jackal squad. And we'll start with the Jackal Alphas with his precision weapon after seeing the Patriarch torn down. Wants Creed's head. It's 1 shot, hits on a 3. So here we go. Hits on a 3. Oh, it hits. Strength 5 versus toughness 4. 3s to wound. I'm going to use a CP. And it wounds. -2. So we use a 4-up invulnerable save for Creed. And he fails and takes 3 wounds. So the unit invokes its Outrider gangs and starts to throw demolition charges. On a 4-up, causes a mortal wound. Oh. Hellblaster has 1 wound remaining. So the small arms come firing in, hitting on 4s. Oof. Wounding on 4s. So it's 4 3-up saves. And that kills the Hellblaster and puts a wound onto Creed. So 6 heavy stubber shots come in from the quad. That was a 5, so 4 hits. Force to wound. So 2 wounds come through. Again, no AP. Can Creed? He's got 1 wound left. He's fine. He bosses it. Now the heavy mining laser comes in and misses. So Creed, with his squad destroyed around him, stands firm, battered, bruised, but with 1 wound remaining, screams at the jackals, "You will be mine." And with that, the shooting phase is complete. The jackals have invoked their 6-inch move that they can make thanks to the Alphas. And they've continued to sweep round because ultimately we still need to get onto these objectives. We need to be in a position turn 5 where we can do something. So with that, the Aberrants and the Abominant are going to charge into the Eradicators that are tucked inside this building. I'm going to put everything into that and try and overkill them. Okay, so here we go. And with a 10, they're most definitely in. So the attacks go in from the Aberrants into the Eradicator squad. And get a sustained hit. So hit on 3s, that is not so amazing. But they do get 2 sustained hits. Wounding on 3s. Okay. So 5 wounds come through. So it's 5 up saves, each one killing an Eradicator. Oh, so close, so close. But those 2, oh yeah, spend the CP, keep one alive. Nope. So those 2 Eradicators are torn down by the Aberrants. So at the end of Genestealer Cult turn 4, barring Creed, who stands alone, and the Repulsor, a lot of this flank, a lot of the left-hand flank is pretty clear. The Aberrants have taken out the Eradicators and are now holding that middle objective. But the Ghost's left-hand flank is pretty clear. So what will the Ghosts do to try and prevent this signal node being activated in the next turn for the Genestealer Cult, as we go on to Ghosts turn 4. So at the end of the Ghosts movement phase, everything's beginning to converge around the central node. Creed has made his way up for this Acolyte here and the Icon Ward. The Repulsors come round to try and take aim on the Rock Grinder and the Jackal squad. This squad of Vanguard Vets has moved its way forward to take on this squad of Neophytes. The other squad of Vanguard Vets made its way into the cathedral or into the building to take on both squads of the Aberrants and the Neophytes. Around here, then I made a move back and will nullify that. However, what we can do is, because the Icon Ward's on the table still, we can move that and replace it. And out of that marker comes a squad of Acolytes, as does the marker around here. We don't think we're going to get, but we're going to give it a good old try. So that marks the end of the movement phase. So then we'll go on to this Ghosts shooting phase. And as you can imagine, these 2 squads in the centre are going to get lit up. So we'll start with the Centurions, and they're going to put the Melters and the Hurricane Bolters into the Aberrants. Start with the Twin Melters. The aberrants will be the Oath of Moment. I didn't mention that, but they are the Oath of Moment because they pose the most threat. So 2 hits. They're within 12, so they get an extra pip of strength, but it's still going to be 3s. So strength 10, toughness 6. So 2 wounds come through. There's no save. They don't have an invulnerable save or anything, I don't think. So the first one is for 8 because it's +2, and for 5. So the first one at 5. Oh, that's a really good effort, but kills the one on 2 wounds. And then 8. It kills 2. And now the bolters. Again, Oath of Moment. So 5s to wound, but twin linked. Good job. Okay, so 6 wounds come through. So 6 wounds come through, no AP. So still no pains. Yep, this kills another one. So 3 dead so far. So the assault bolters are going to, from the Inceptor squad, are going to go into the neophytes. No sustained hits this time. 3s to wound, twin linked. So that's 3 wounds come through, 3 6-up saves, and that's 3 of those killed as well. So now the Land Raider's going to put the heavy bolters into the aberrants and the las cannons into the Ridge Runner. So the heavy bolters, twin Oath of Moment. So it's 3 hits, 5s to wound, it's twin linked. So 1 wound comes through, 6-up save, which it makes. Okay, so now the Godhammer last cannon, and they both miss. That Ridge Runner is truly blessed. And so now we'll work our way around this side, and the repulsor is going to put everything into, he's going to put the defensive array into the, and the last cannon into the rock grinder, then the onslaught Gatling cannons into the jackals. So we did the defensive array off camera. It made 1 wound, but the Goliath, the rock grinder, saved it. So we'll go for the last cannon, which hit. 3s to wound, which wounds. -3, pardon me, -3, which it fails. Okay, so D6 +1. Well, how much damage would it have been? It would have been 6 wounds. Does the rock grinder blow up? No, it doesn't. It just dissolves under the weight of fire. So the onslaught Gatling cannon hitting on 3s. Not bad. Looking for devastating wounds here, but wounding on 3s. Oh, and there's 3 devastating wounds. That kills a bike and wounds another. And there's 3 saves to make. No AP. 3 wounds go through. That's 3 bikes slain from that unit. So with that done, we're going to make some charges. We're going to charge the Vanguard Vets and the Assault Centurions into these 2 squads. We're going to charge Creed into the Acolytes. I'm going to charge these Vanguard Vets into this squad. So we'll roll for the Vanguard Vets into the Neophytes here. They're in with a 10. The Assault Centurions into the Aberrants. They're in with a 5. The Vanguard Vets into the Neophytes. They're in with a 5. And Creed into the Acolytes is in with an 8. As Creed comes bursting through the walls, screaming into the Acolyte squad. So we'll start with the Vanguard vets here. There's 4 with lightning claws, or relic weapons as they're now, or Vanguard veteran weapons, whatever. Should be twin link lightning claws, you know it should be. Anyway, hidden on 3s. Ooh. So picking up 2 lethal hits, but now strength 5, toughness 3, so 3s to wound. So 10 wounds come through initially without the sergeant, so 10 6-up saves. Oh, they haven't done badly. So 6 are slain, 4 remain. The sergeant raises his weapon, still classed as a Vanguard veteran weapon, whatever, hits on 3s. Ooh, misses twice, so the squad will not be wiped. Okay. Wounds once, and so it leaves 3 of the neophytes remaining. So the other squad of Vanguard vets into the neophytes in the centre, again hitting on 3s. Wounding on 3s. Not so good this time, only 4 wounds come through. And they save 2 of them. Okay. So it'll be left to the lieutenant to finish off that squad, hitting on 2s. That's better. Wounding on 3s. So 3 wounds come through, there's 3 left. And all 3 perish. That clears up 1 squad, so now onto the Assault Centurions into the Aberrants. So that is the Oath of Moment target, so hitting on 3s. So all 6 hit. Strength 10, toughness 6, but so it would be 3s, but because of the bodyguard rule, it's back up to 4s. Ooh, could be significant. They are twin linked though. So it was 2 wounds initially. I've knocked that one, so that's 2 wounds. So 4 wounds come through. Okay, there is no save on this one. So feel no pains. First one's dead. Second one is also is alive with a wound. Ooh. It's the Abominant that's left now. It was only 1 aberrant left. So the Abominant's got 2 wounds remaining, and he will raise his sledgehammer before we go over to Creed's combat, and he will hit on 3s. He hits once. I'll spend a CP. He hits twice. Strength 12, toughness 7, so 3s to wound. 1 wound comes through. It is -2. And it is D6 plus 1, so can the Abominant tear down a Centurion? No, not quite. 1 wound remaining. So moving over to Creed, he raises his power fist and strikes the Acolyte and the Icon Ward. Hits on 2s. And manages to miss once. Wounds on 2s. So 4 wounds come through. It's -2, so they don't get a save. So let's have a look at the 4-up Feel No Pains. Kills the Acolyte. Onto the Icon Ward. Two wounds taken so far. 4 wounds taken. And that tears down the Icon Ward. So do either of those squads come back, the Neophytes or the Acolytes? No, that's it, they're gone. And with that, that brings turn 4 for the Ghosts to an end. they've successfully defended the signal node here and the signal node here, but with more Genestealer Cult crawling out the woodwork, what can they do is they go to Genestealer Cult turn 5. So we're in, after the Genestealer Cult movement phase, we're in the twilight hours of the game. This squad of acolytes did advance and did get a 6 and managed to get onto the objective, but you have to be eligible to shoot in order to carry out the action to send the signal. So they're just not eligible, which is a shame. Round here, the acolytes have moved on to the objective and they will be sending the signal, because the jackals are going to do their best to try and take Creed's head. And we'll start with the Alphas, who takes his shot and hits and wounds. Will he take Creed? No, Creed stands firm. With nothing left, they do a demolition run. Any falls will be a mortal wound and will take Creed. And with that, Creed falls. So doing the heavy stubbers off camera into the repulsor from the quad bike, we're going to go on to the mining laser, which hits. Strength 12, toughness 12, so that does wound. -3. It fails to save, so it's D6 plus 1 damage to the repulsor for 2. Okay. And with that, we move on to the fight phase and the charge phase. The jackals will charge the repulsor. Why not? And they get in. We'll move them in, and then we'll go to the fight phase. After the smoke clear, after the fight phase, and all the swinging was done by the various different weapons, this squad of Vanguard vets cleared the neophytes, and the Abominant was torn down by the Centurions, and predictably nothing happened here. So that marks the end of the Genestealer Cult. They've done all they can. They have inflicted heavy losses on the ghosts. Creed has fallen. But they've got this one squad that's trying to send a signal. So now, what can the ghosts do in turn 5? So, at the end of the ghost movement phase, the Vanguard vets have brought themselves around with their lieutenant to try and get a charge off if needs be. The repulsor is going to put everything into that squad there. And after the smoke clears, an acolyte squad has been taken out. And around the other side, there's only one acolyte remaining, which the Inceptors would charge and hopefully tear down. So it's safe to say, on this day, despite heavy losses, Creed has fallen again. The Vanguard vets would go over, retrieve him and take him back up to the battle barge. But it's safe to say the ghosts have defended Marnie's haven, and the Genestealer Cult failed to send the signal, and that's how this story ends today. Despite the heavy losses, the ghosts were successful. They have defended this earth, this planet, from the Genestealer Cult. They will continue to scour and wipe it clean. And that, as I say, is how that story ends. I hope you've enjoyed it, and I'll see you on the next one.